Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming on the Black Star Network. Well, guess what? The Trump Department of Justice, they are suing North Carolina, accusing the state of failing to maintain accurate voter registration lists, which could potentially impact hundreds of thousands of registrations. All they're doing is picking up on the failed lie that was pushed by the Republican Supreme Court nominee who lost to the Democrat. Inside the Sean Diddy Combs trial, emotional testimony today detailing more allegations of violent acts. Legal analyst Candace Kelly will break it all down for us, including the denial of a mistrial. Plus, Trump's big, beautiful bill may not be so pretty. Elon Musk is criticizing it. Republicans are getting nailed in town halls all across the country. Ooh, they a little bit upset. They big mad, y'all, big mad. And some sad news, Chicago Mike Sumler, a member of the legendary music group Kool and the Gang, has died in a car crash. That and more right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. It's time to bring the funk. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all.
Donald Trump's Department of Justice, they don't give a damn about actually the regular, ordinary people when it comes to voting lawsuits. They are shutting down those that impact black and brown people. But now they're taking up a lie that was being pushed by a Republican Supreme Court nominee. You know, he lost after 6 months. He lost to Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs. Now they are filing a lawsuit against the state of North Carolina, the State Board of Elections, alleging that officials failed to maintain accurate voter registration records for potentially hundreds of thousands of voters, a lot of them veterans. The suit alleges the board violated the Federal Help America Vote Act by registering voters without collecting required identifying information, such as a driver's license number or the last 4 digits of a social security number on forms used statewide since 2004. Now, state officials have been quietly updating the forms last year, but did not reach out to people already registered, which could be anywhere from 60,000 to more than 200,000 voters. As I said, this is what was advanced by the Republican who lost to Supreme Court Justice Allison Riggs. So he lost by 734 votes. So only in his race, he wanted to invalidate some 65,000 voters. A lot of them, y'all, are veterans who vote overseas. He lost. He had to concede the race. But here you see Trump trying to advance the lie. Rebecca Carruthers, Executive Vice President, Fair Election Center out of D.C., Derek Jackson, Georgia State Representative out of Atlanta, Candace Kelly, legal analyst and host of Not All Hood out of South Orange, New Jersey. Glad to have all three of y'all here. So this is beyond pathetic, Rebecca. And again, this is them pushing the lie that this Republican in North Carolina failed on. He kept losing, and now they're trying to take up his cause.
You know what, Roland, what makes this even more ridiculous is that the voting rights section of the DOJ has been largely gutted. So it's hardly anyone left over there. And so of all cases to bring, this is the first case that this administration is bringing. There's several issues with this. Yes, it could potentially impact hundreds of thousands of duly registered voters in North Carolina, but it's going to impact Republicans just like it's going to impact Democrats. The issue here is, as the DOJ is outlining potential remedies, it gets a little bit tricky. Like, for instance, it's saying that North Carolina would have to contact every voter that doesn't have the last 4 of their social security number attached to their voter registration. And if they don't hear from that specific voter, then they'll just assign like a unique numeric code to that voter. So it's still unclear exactly what the DOJ wants North Carolina to do. And then it's also unclear if HAVA, which is what this lawsuit is being brought under, Help America Vote Act, it's unclear if this is actually a remedy that you can do under HAVA. So it doesn't make sense, out of all things to go after with voting rights, that this is what the Department of Justice decides is the most important in this country right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clear, and Derek, what they're trying to do is they are trying to pick up the mantle of the failure of this Republican, and they want to target, they want to shave off voters. Look, you're in Georgia. Y'all have had to deal with Raffensperger and Kemp wiping folks off the rolls. I mean, they want to shrink the electorate because they say it makes it easier for them to win.
Yeah, Roland, you're exactly right. I mean, especially when you think about Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, these 11 Southern Confederate states, since the Supreme Court back in July of 2013 removed Section 5, that pre-clearance requirement, these 11 states went to work. Georgia kicked things off with Senate Bill 202, a 98-page document that makes it harder for Black and brown people to vote, especially women, especially military, especially seniors, especially college students. They went specifically at these groups, Roland, because they lost in 2020. And then this is the same party that continued to proliferate a lie of 2020. And so it just, as Rebecca stated, it is ridiculous on its face for them to say the system is broke when they lose, but it's okay when they win. You can't have it both ways. And so let's do the right thing. Let's pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. something that's going to make it fair for everyone, but you won't see them do that because that's not what they want. As it was already stated, the Department of Justice is not about doing the right work to make sure all citizens vote, Roland. This is another way for them to flood the zone, to distract us, because there's no there there. And here in Georgia, our challenge right now, next month, they're talking about removing about 500,000 Georgians off the voting poll. It makes no sense. And so these are the kind of things we got to fight against, and make sure we stand up and speak out against as they continue to try to disenfranchise the voters.
It's real clear, and they don't give a damn about regular, ordinary people. Candace, they don't care about black people. They don't care about their votes being screwed over, shutting down voting locations. This is about white conservatives. This is about them winning more races. This is what this is all about, pure and simple.
Right. And of all the things that they should be focusing in on in 2025, this is what they're going after, just like Rebecca said. I think the other thing is the effect of this, like Rebecca said too, it's going to be something that's quite the opposite of what they had intended, kind of like DEI. Yeah, it affected mostly white women. Now we're looking at this, it's going to be affect the Republican base also. And then we're talking about due process rights here, right? If you have somebody that is not given a fair opportunity and is duly informed about what is wrong with their voting record in the process that they didn't even know about, you have to give some time. The Civil Rights Division is talking about 30 days to try to correct some of this in some way, shape, or form. But you can't go through a process, especially when it comes to voting rights, and we know how important that is, and just rip these types of rights away before you give a person the opportunity to correct it. They didn't even know that that was a problem. In other words, it wasn't even the fault of the voters. So there are a whole lot of issues that need to be addressed here. But certainly this is something that's not just going to affect Black Democrats. It's going to affect everybody. And I think that is something that the Republicans are being very blind to.
Oh, absolutely. And it's abundantly clear. So people just need to understand, just like we talked about with these cases of black folks, motorists being shot and killed by cops, we are not going to get anything from these idiots in Trump's Department of Justice. That the crazy woman over the Civil Rights Division, that fool, that black MAGA fool, Leo Terrell, they don't give a damn about the voting rights of black people. So I'm just letting y'all know it ain't going to happen. So just understand, prepare yourself, that ain't going to happen. All right, got to go to a break. We come back. More on the show. We're going to talk the Diddy trial. Also, I'm going to show y'all how Donald Trump and the Republicans want to play black people. And guess what? Some of it's effective. Donald Trump has pardoned. He's pardoned big-time Chicago gang leader Larry Hoover. But he ain't getting out of prison. I'm going to break it all down for you. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on A Balanced Life, we are talking about the many women and female role models that play an integral role in our lives, from helping to boost our self-esteem to checking us when we get out of line. These women deserve their flowers for helping us to become who we are today.
The women in my lives who have just impacted me so much have challenged me. They're women who made me want to live right and love right.
That's all next on A Balanced Life here on Black Star Network.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
In France, me and Tony, and accidentally went to the Louvre, right? But I had never been, and I saw a side door. And we got off the little bus. I said, come on, Tony, let's go to the Louvre. I mean, I'm just like, let's go to the Louvre, right?
We're here.
This black girl is at the door with this white guy, black African girl. And she says, oh my gosh, Elizabeth Galloway. And I'm like this, you know me? And come to find out we were at the wrong door. But she said, I'm gonna let you just go in here. But I was in Paris, France. Mm-hmm. And that shocked me. She knew my name, she knew me. She knew my movie. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like, you just gotta, they say, build and they will come. Put it out there, people will find it, they will come.
This week at the Black Table, we discuss a place, an idea, a dream, and a reality that everybody on the planet should know about. A place called Mound Bayou.
What about black people creating their own country, not from the outside in, but from the inside out?
That's next on the Black Table, right here on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
We're talking sinners, we're talking the Met Gala, we are talking about Black and Asian solidarity just in time for AAPI Heritage Month, and we're talking with our brilliant friend Malavika Cannon.
Nothing about these alliances is necessarily natural, except for the fact that we all are people who are trying to stay safe.
Tune in only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Franklin. It is always a pleasure to be in the house. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Stay right here.
All right, folks. There's an idiot sitting in the Oval Office. It ain't even close. An absolute idiot. So today, y'all, I saw this and I just thought it was just too hilarious. So a reporter decides to ask the grifter in chief, who is really stupid when it comes to tariffs, what the conservative Wall Street Journal said. And let me help y'all out. The Wall Street Journal is a conservative Republican newspaper. They've always been about Republican policies. It is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who owns the New York Post and Fox News. So here's what the reporter said today that just really set off Donald Trump when he was like, oh my God, this question is just so horrible. How dare you ask? Y'all got the video ready? And it really, to me, is a perfect example of how stupid this man is. Listen to this.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, OK, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything. This country was dying. You know, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I went to Saudi Arabia. The king told me, he said, we have the hottest country in the world right now. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number, 145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got? Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. That's high. They were doing no business whatsoever, and they were having a lot of problems. We were very nice to China. I don't know if they're going to be nice to us, but we were very nice to China. And in many ways, I think we really helped China tremendously because, they were having great difficulty because we were basically going cold turkey with China. We were doing no business because of the tariff, because it was so high. But I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead. To me, that's the nastiest question.
A nasty man talking about what is a nasty question. You know, it really is hilarious to me when you listen to that idiot, and that's really what he is, a complete idiot. You know, because the question is so nasty. And then you ask me that question. I don't like how you asked me that question because you're now calling me out because I look like an idiot. Because the question is just so, it's the nastiest question I've gotten in the past 5 minutes. Because what he really prefers is, he really prefers for people to constantly kiss his ass. And so he stands before the cameras and says, oh my God, our economy was dead. Our economy was so dead. The economy was going all over the place. Really? That's interesting. This is the Joint Economic Committee for Democrats. This is, I mean, these are actual facts. This is 2021. The U.S. economy improved during Biden's first year in office, first 12 months, the most in 50 years. Job growth, economic growth, retail sales. Oh, the economy grew at the fastest rate in nearly 40 years. GDP up 5.7%. Look at these numbers. Look at that right there. Let's see here. 5.7% on the far right. That's the most since 1984. That's kind of interesting. And this is from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. This is what is crazy. This is also what's amazing. Derek, I'm going to start with you because he's a liar. He's a liar. MAGA, they're pretty stupid. They believe the lies. Anything that fool says that they fall for. And this is exactly what happens. And the fact of the matter is, the economy improved greatly. The United States economy grew faster than any other industrialized nation post-COVID. So it's a lie. Donald Trump is a liar. He's lying when he says, oh my God, the country was dead. We were almost dead. We were dead. It's a lie. He's straight lying. And this is where, if you're a reporter, you should say, well, I'm sorry, you're incorrect because the economy grew at the fastest rate of any other industrialized country. See, they won't do that. So what they do is, and the same thing happens when you see the people go on. I said the other day when Speaker Mike Johnson goes on with Jake Tapper and he asked him about their crypto dinner. Well, I don't know, I was really busy last week, with the House bill. I didn't hear about any of this. Really? You didn't hear about any of this? And then it will allow them to go on and lie. No, you got to shut the lies down.
You know, Roland, again, this is the liar in chief. Right? I mean, someone has a tally thus far, I think documented like 31,000 lies since this dude been in office the first time, 31,000. But here's the bottom line to the essence of your point. Facts and data be damned. They don't care about facts and data. They know 6 months ago the headlines of our economy. Strong, right? Financially solvent. The stock market was a runaway freight train, a bull, if you will. But now the headlines are saying potential recession. The CBO office is saying that this tax cut bill will negatively impact Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. It will reduce the solvency of Social Security. The CBO also says that this is going to increase our national debt, another $4.5 trillion. And so when so we can look at the two bookends, what the headlines were 6 months ago and what they are now. It's just amazing that he says some Saudi prince told him that we're hot, as if he shouldn't know what our state of economy, what the health of our economy.
Well, first of all, let's be real clear. The Saudi king, let's be real clear here, okay? The Saudi king, Ken, is, I don't believe nothing Trump says. So when Trump says, well, the Saudi king told me, I don't believe that fool. I don't believe that fool at all, because he gonna lie about that. Again, liars will lie. All this man does is lie. That's what he does over and over and over again, Candace. And so when he said, again, everything he said that was a lie. So I don't believe the Saudi king. You got the hardest. The Saudi king will say whatever to make that dumbass feel good.
And listen, even if he had video of it rolling, we'd have to double check and make sure it wasn't AI. You know, we have to double check everything. We don't know these days. Trump acts in a way that anything anybody says secretly or behind closed doors on private phone calls, they all are loving Trump. They're all in Trump's favor. I think that one of the things that's so interesting, as you said, with the Wall Street Journal being a conservative operation, which it has always been, right? Rupert Murdoch's of the world. Here was a paper calling him Taco, right? Trump always changes chickens out. So you got this thing going on where the press is supposed to be his friend. He could not have won any election, as with anybody, but especially not Trump. Was not going to win an election without the media being his friends. So number one, he is losing that groundswell of support. And even if he's not, that's what it looks like. Second, you called him Taco. And what do you think about when you think about tacos? Mexicans. I mean, this was just way out of the league. And I think the 8th grader in him, which is what we often see, and how he negotiates, was just did not like the name calling. Besides anything else, besides him flipping on the tariffs, besides him not getting, the media support, Trump liked to be the leader of the bullies in the 8th grade. And in this taco calling, he lost out. They bullied him into answering a question. They bullied him and now have given him this name that's certainly going to stick. He doesn't want to be associated with anybody that should be deported from the country. He doesn't want anything to do with tacos, anything to do with Mexican, anything to do with anything. So they really got him. And I think that that's where a lot of his angst and his anger was coming from in this press conference.
And again, he's a liar. We can't get around the reality here, Rebecca. This is a massive liar. I believe nothing that comes out of his mouth. If Donald Trump says, oh my God, it's really raining outside, I'm literally going to go to the window and double check. I don't believe anything that fools. If Donald Trump I believe nothing this man says because he will lie about lies.
If Trump said it was raining outside, I'm going outside after my silk press without an umbrella. It's like, come on. Not only is he playing chicken, he's almost like Biff from Back to the Future, where he's kind of a bully but really has no teeth. And so what we're watching is like the tariff hokey pokey. He's saying, okay, I'm going to put 25% on you, Canada. Oh, but I'm going to roll it back to 10% because now you're saying you're going to do reciprocal tariffs. Oh, China, I'm going to go up to 75%. And China's like, okay, I'll raise you 125%. So for someone who's talked about all the winning that he does, and he's a winner, and all he does is win, so far I haven't seen any of it. Instead, what we've seen is that the American economy is taking a hit. We're seeing that there's fluctuations on the stock market that shouldn't really be there. And to your point at the top of this segment is, there are real concerns that we're going to have a recession, but it's not going to be a recession from the classical sense of just the economy going through its different cycles, but it's going to be a Trump-induced recession.
And I'm just sitting here watching these idiot MAGA people, and there's no other phrase. I have to call. I remember I was on CNN and I was on Anderson Cooper, John Avlon, Derek, and they were like, he was like, Roland, it's not really smart to call the American people stupid. No, I'm like, well, you're stupid, you're stupid. Okay? And you know who's stupid? North Carolina people who voted for Trump. You know who's stupid? Missouri people who voted for Trump. You know who's stupid? Arkansas people who voted for Donald Trump. Because you know what he's done? He said, North Carolina, you ain't getting hurricane relief. Missouri, oh, you had some destructive tornadoes. Yeah, you ain't getting relief. Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was his chief liar in the White House the first time, begging him. He's like, no, y'all ain't getting relief. These dumbasses voted for him, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, when the hurricane tornado hits y'all, go to hell, kick rocks. I'm giving you nothing. And these idiots still like, yeah, he's my guy, that's my guy.
Listen, you got to add Georgia to that mix too, Roland. at Georgia because he declined to give us our $5.5 billion for FEMA for a hurricane that happened last fall. He also negatively impacting our plan in terms of our infrastructure, our electric vehicles charging station, all the federal grant dollars that former President Biden had already tailored to come to Georgia. He already told Brian Kemp, the governor, hey, I ain't sending you your money. So you got to add Georgia to that mix, Roland. These individuals keep kissing the orange butt and getting zero things in return. And this is a transactional president that refuses to do the things that he should be doing. And the last point I would say is this too, though, Roland. You mentioned about the coins, the meme coins, the $5 million per person or $1 million per person. That's extortion. That's extortion. But the Republicans don't want to call it that, right? So the Speaker of the House, I was busy that day. I'm not sure what was going on. Really? This guy's, he's an extortionist. They don't want to call him that. But what do criminals do? What would a 34 felon count criminal would do? Criminals conduct crime. Mob bosses, they conduct crime. And that's what he's doing. He is robbing the American people right before our eyes. This is the greatest heist I ever seen that even Hollywood couldn't even dream up such a movie as this.
And Rebecca, this is actually how Fox News responds. Let's see. I think we have a leak. Like that, it's just like don't even, I mean, they laugh about this whole deal. That's what I'm telling you. I am very clear, Rebecca. Whoever runs for president for the Democrats in 2028, this is how they should respond. Are you going to release your college transcripts? Hell no. Are you going to release your medical records? Hell no. Are you going to put your investments in the blind trust? Hell no. In fact, fuck it. I'm launching my own coin. No, I mean, I'm serious. Again, it literally, I keep trying not to cuss. So y'all, if y'all want to hear me cuss, go ahead and turn it down. I keep trying not to cuss. And
when did you try?
I've like pulled back on something, but I'm telling y'all, this is what matter of fact, this is what I need in 2028. I need in 2028, there's a great scene in Harlem Nights. My man Red Fox. And y'all might remember the scene in Harlem Nights. It was opening the scene. They were doing craps and they were complaining about my man's eyesight. And they made him go put on some the glasses. And then he came back, and man, they were sitting here razzing my man, talking about my man, dissing just giving him hell. And finally, Red Fox just got tired of them sitting here messing with him. He just got tired. And the character was Benny. Y'all remember Benny? And again, they were just sitting here and just dogging my man. And he was like, you know what? I'm really getting tired of y'all sitting here dogging me by my glasses. And I never forget, he gave the best response to his haters. And this should be the response of any DM running in 2028 when people start asking them to do some stuff they never asked Donald Trump. Go to my iPad, Anthony.
Enjoy the game, gentlemen. Fuck y'all.
That should be it right there. Man, fuck y'all. I'm serious. I mean, because again, there's no advantage playing by the rules. If you are a Democrat, you are literally playing by a set of rules, standards that Republicans. What we are literally seeing the raping and the pillaging of America before our very eyes. And they like, yeah, I don't see nothing. I don't know what y'all talking about. We good. So I'm telling you, them should be, all right, that's how y'all want to play. Go on Fox News and they should be jamming their ass. Y'all ain't saying nothing? You ain't saying nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Because he's doing it out in the open, we all good. Nah, man, that has to be the response. Rebecca, that has to be the only way you respond.
Here's the thing. There are no rules right now. And if people want to play the same political games and the same gamemanship, we're gonna be stuck in the same path. First of all, this dude has already said that he's gonna run for a third term. So at that point, that is an opening. That's an opening. That's an opening pitch to the other side of, hey, do you believe in democracy or not? Do you believe the American people get to decide who's going to be the next president or not? And are you actually going to talk about the issues that American voters say that they want to talk about? And so whoever becomes the nominee on the Democratic side has to spend a lot of time talking about how they're going to restore faith in government, why government can be a good and transformative thing, and then roll out a plan on how to do so. And that person needs to start today, not just like, no offense to Bernie Sanders and AOC, not some self-serving tour, but actually a tour across this country where you're actually talking to the people, hearing everyday issues, and you're bringing people into the process of how together we could solve it. And so far, we haven't heard that from the Democrats. Instead, we're seeing like these messaging things that are showing up in response to what Trump and the Republicans in Congress are doing. Quite frankly, that's not effective. And so right now, the Democrats aren't actually showing that they have the ability to win in 2028. And considering what Trump is doing, that's a shame.
That's why, Candace, I'm telling you, as far as I'm concerned, if I do any show and they bring up that bullshit ass book by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, I'm gonna do the classic black move that Chris Tucker perfected in Friday. Going on with that. That's what I'm gonna do. I ain't answering that bullshit. I ain't answering it. No, hell no. I mean, again, this whole Jake Tapper literally said the other day, what the cover-up of Biden's decline was bigger than Watergate. Man, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
You are losing the cussing game, my lord.
No, again, what I'm trying to say is, what they want is they want Democrats, and this is Democrats' big problem. They want to say, no, this is how we need to respond. This is the right way. Do the right thing. We've got to be bigger than that. And I'm sitting there going like, they don't give a damn. And I keep saying this. Democrats could be 500 yards away from the line. They go, hey, don't get near the line. The Republicans go, what line?
You know, I'm glad you mentioned Jake Tapper, and I'll get off of him for one sec, but I got to get on him because what he did was not just self-serving, but it was just bad journalism. If you had all this information that you thought was worthwhile and that people should know about, why not share it? Why were you sitting in it the whole time so you can make a buck off of it? And then you're advertising it on your station, which people do, don't get me wrong. But his disposition and his attitude is just so arrogant and self-serving. I can't take it. On another note, I'm worried about the 90 million people who did not vote. What are we going to do about them? Sure, we're in a position now where we can follow precedent and do what Donald Trump did, but it's only going to cause, like Rebecca said, more chaos. We have got to get off of this idea that, hey, you're going to do this, well, I'm going to do this too, because when it comes time for another election to happen, things are going to look way different, especially if he runs again. Everybody's going to be throwing their hat in, and it's just not going to serve us, meaning that what Trump is doing is not going to serve us in the same way. So we have a lot of work to do, but there's certainly a lot of doors that are open for us to do the work. Those folks who didn't even get up off their seats, those are the folks that we need to be going after to say, hey, you see what happens when you don't get off your behinds? Let's go out here and let's make a difference. Go vote.
Well, I just want, again, if I am engaged in something, Derek, Rebecca, and Candace, if I'm in the middle of something, and if I'm sitting here abiding by a set of rules, and y'all not, I'm like, oh, that's what we doing? Okay, bet. That's how we rolling? All right, let's go. That's how I'm going to respond, Derek. And I'm telling you right now, I think in this moment, I just believe that just like, people were criticizing Glenn Ivey the other day because Glenn Ivey went to El Salvador and he was there trying to talk to Abrego Garcia. And again, the right loves to sit here and play these games. All right, like you said, the NRCC, they posted a tweet. Democrat Glenn Ivey proudly declared, "I'm the congressman that represents an alleged MS-13 gang member, domestic abuser, illegal immigrant. Democrats will choose foreign criminals over American families every single time." And you know what? If I'm Glenn Ivey, first of all. If I'm Glenn Ivey, and let me go ahead and play this clip because this is him in El Salvador. So let me play this, and I got something to say to them punk-ass Republicans on the other side. Play it.
I'm the congressman that represents Tomar. I came all the way down from the United States after we contacted their ambassador, after we'd made formal requests to our ambassador, to the El Salvadoran government. And we came here to visit him today. And now they're telling us we got to go all the way back to El Salvador, to San Salvador to get a permit. That's ridiculous. We ought to have a chance to come in and visit. They knew we were coming. They knew why we were coming. And they know we have the right to do this. So they need to just cut the crap.
Now again, Republicans are going. So if I'm Ivey, this is how I'm going to say it. I'm here in El Salvador trying to see one of my constituents who the Supreme Court said 9-0, bring them back. That's how you do this, Derek. Because see, and here's what happens. I saw this one story. They said that Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries was telling Democratic members, stop going to El Salvador. No. You make due process the story. It's due process. And you say everybody deserves due process, whether you're this person, whether you're a brother and sister who is being charged in a crime. See, they want to play this little game. Well, no, he's illegal, so he don't get it. There's going to be, no. He got a record, so he don't get. Hold on. So who now gets due process? This is how you got to fight back, Derek.
Yeah. No, listen, Roland. I don't disagree with the approach, but let's be honest here. There are two sets of rules. We've mentioned it on your show many times over. We played the what if this was Barack Obama game. And we all know if this was Barack Obama, he would have been tortured on day one. If Barack would have came out with 142 executive orders that was contrary to the Constitution, come on, Roland. And so the game for us, put aside the Democrat Republican for a second. There's the other dimension to this too. It's if you and I did something in society, the expectations are different for us as a black man. And their expectations for Candace and Rebecca are different as a black woman. And so we just don't get the opportunity and the options unlike the orange dude in the office. Think about this for a second. His net worth, and this is according to Forbes, which is a Republican journalist magazine, what have you. They said his net worth in 110 days has more than doubled, Roland. If that would have been Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, the media, Jake Tapper and everybody else, MSNBC, everybody would have been like, oh, that's wrong. That's unpresidential. And this and that and the other. And so I'm not disagreeing that when you fight a bully, you punch him in the mouth. You punch a bully in the mouth. But when the dust settles, there are two sets of rules, and how we navigate those rules, even to due process, is different. I know we're going to talk about it later on your show about Diddy. Everybody's saying, well, hey, if you just released the Christie personalities that were in jail because they embezzled $35 million, and he just let them out because somebody gave him $1 million. Come on, Roland.
Again, I'm just like, I don't have time to play games with these people. This is where you got to go hard, Rebecca. You can't play by a set of rules that no longer exist. And as I say, if you're going to swing, swing.
Yeah, I mean, no one on this panel could even be the orange man. You know why? Derek, Candace, and I refuse to be mediocre. What we're seeing is someone's mediocre who's constantly failed up, and we see a party around him that are complicit. Like what Derek was saying, if this was Barack Obama, if this was Michelle Obama, if this was Barack Obama, not only, so what the Democrats actually would have done, they would have tried to remove him. They probably would have tried to seek out the 25th Amendment to remove him and declare him incompetent, unfit for the office. I don't even think Congress would have had to actually do an impeachment and a removal process. But here's the other tricky thing about Trump. And to Derek's point about Trump's alleged fortune has doubled since he started his second term. The thing about Trump is Trump has never actually made anything. He was never really a businessman. He licensed his image and his likeness and put it on buildings, right? That's not really someone who actually generates and inserts things into the economy. I wouldn't be surprised when this is all said and done if future Trump generations are bankrupt, because I'm not buying it. Like there's like, when you think about all of the foreign governments and all of the foreign actors that have their hands in his pocket, they're allegedly moving money into his coffers, it comes with a price. And mediocre Trump, I don't think is going to be able to deliver what's going to be asked of him. Like, I know right now we're watching this person who has the bully pulpit of the presidency. He is the president. I still don't think this is going to end well for him. Like when you play with mobsters and you pretend to be a mobster, if you're not able to follow through, you're going to get that mobster. You're going to get that mobster death.
They don't, Candace, they don't care as long as they rape and pillage the company. I don't know if y'all saw this story in the Wall Street Journal. And again, if you want to understand the raping and pillaging that goes on, let me pull this up and understand how absolutely positively corrupt these people are, and they don't give a damn. And again, and they do so much corrupt shit, Candace, that they do so much. Like they do so much corrupt stuff. It's not even every day. It's not even every 12 hours. It's not even every 6 hours. It's like literally on the hour, constant corrupt shit that they don't care. Here's a perfect example. The Wall Street Journal does this exclusive story. Again, the right-wing Wall Street Journal. Elon Musk tried to block Sam Altman's big AI deal in the Middle East. Musk warned that Trump wouldn't bless OpenAI data center project unless his ex-AI company was added. So basically, Elon's like, yo, I control that pimp. I'm his pimp. So let me just put, Elon Musk is saying, I am Donald Trump's pimp. And I'm a pimp slap his ass if he don't do what I want to do. So guess what, Sam Altman? Y'all can't work this corner. Y'all got to cut me in. And guess what? Me being the pimp, I'm going to sick Trump on y'all to make sure I get my cut. That's what he's trying to do to the African countries, forcing Starlink. He is the pimp. Elon Musk is leading Trump around. You gonna do my bidding, and you gonna get me deals. And then Trump is saying to Elon, "Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy."
Well, this is how I look at it. Whenever you have issue like this, whether it's business, whether it's a presidency, whether it's due process, over the past centuries, we've gone to the Supreme Court to find an answer. Now that the Supreme Court seems as if it has no backbone, or seems as if nobody is regarding what a 9-0 decision would mean, I really think it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to say, we've got some unprecedented actions. We need an unprecedented response. Everything in our history has always been determined or been massaged in the rule of law. Ultimately, up to the United States, the Supreme Court of the land that trumps everything. It's going to trump a state law, federal law. The Supreme Court is that apex that everybody listens to. I just want to know what they're doing. Even if we're talking about Elon Musk, for somebody to fight back, you would do that in the courts. You would do that in some type of antitrust law. But we know that even if anything does hit the courts, he's going to win. He's been fighting Sam Altman for years. He's been fighting everybody in that space that he wants to dominate for years. And all he needs to do is, give Trump a call or just put his hand up. They probably have some signal that, you're going to do what I want to do. We've got to fix this court system because there's no way that talking about it or just simply legislating about it, and that it has to go up to the Supreme Court, the law of the land. And that's where I think the biggest fault is. How are you going to have a 9-0 decision? Do you know how unique that is? We all do on this panel, and it be absolutely disregarded. Why hasn't there been an uproar over that? Why haven't we heard legislators talk about that? Why haven't we heard even the Supreme Court say, why am I even getting up to work every day if the decisions that I'm making on this bench aren't going to be listened to by anybody? That makes no sense. Why would you go to work if you were making cars and all the cars that you made don't work? That makes no sense. There's a problem. Yeah, and it is broken. So I just think that, I would love to hear from somebody in that world to figure out what's going on so that their law trickles down.
Yeah, but they ain't trying to do all that. All right, y'all.
Not yet.
They're the one that created the Frankenstein.
Let's see if they have any guts. All right, I'm going to go to break. We come back. We're going to get an update on what happens today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Folks, don't forget, support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to, our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. If you want to support us via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. That's this right here on the screen. You can also, of course, go to blackstarnetwork.com, RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to actually see it, get it as well. Check your money orders, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, have you ever had $1 million idea and wondered how to bring it to life? Well, it's all about turning problems into opportunities. On our next Get Wealthy, you'll learn of a woman who identified the overload bag syndrome, and now she's taking that money to the bank through global sales in major department stores.
And I was just struggling with 2 or 3 bags on the train. And I looked around on the train and I said, you know what? There are a lot of women that are carrying two or 3 bags.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Ross, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
All right, folks, more wild testimony today in the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs in New York City. Candace Kelly, legal analyst, what happened?
Let's talk about this mistrial, and let's talk about LAPD officer Christopher Ignacio. He's the one who arrived at the scene when Kid Cudi said that somebody broke into his home. He ran a license, because he saw a car, a black SUV Cadillac that was there, ran the license. It belonged to who? It belonged to Bad Boy. So that was a connecting of the dots of a revelation. But I think more importantly, when we talk about the mistrial or the mistrial that was asked for and denied, there was an arson investigator by the name of Lance Jimenez. He was the one who found the Molotov cocktail in Cuddy's home. So we're talking about a totally different time from this other break-in, if you recall. And he said that he felt that this was a personal target. He said that the personal Molotov cocktail actually didn't ignite the way that it was supposed to because it was a very expensive high-end cloth that was used in that bottle of gasoline. What he said, though, that was really important was that there were fingerprints. There was a fingerprint profile that was collected. That profile was collected and stored, but then all of a sudden, unbeknownst to him, the fingerprints disappeared. Now, this was brought out by the prosecution, and the defense did not like this. They thought that this would lead the jury to believe that Sean Combs had something to do with the disappearance. The other thing that this arson specialist said is that when there's evidence that needs to be discarded or thrown away, I'm the one who has to give permission. Nobody got permission from this investigator, yet the fingerprint profile, it disappeared. So the defense attorneys called for a mistrial. There was discussion about it and sidebars. And indeed, that information was struck from the record. Jurors are supposed to not take it into consideration, but you can't unring a bell. They did hear it, but they did not like the implication of that. I mean, it kind of was a stretch. You're going to declare a whole mistrial just because some fingerprint information went away. They need to make that tape go away of him beating Cassie, if you ask my opinion. But the bottom line is that a mistrial was not granted. We also heard from someone who was a personal stylist of Cassie for a number of years, and he talked about he alleged that Sean Combs did threaten Cassie, saying that he would release these videos and that he was the one who was in charge of her music and he was not going to release any more of his music. He said that he fought Sean Combs, that he allegedly jumped on his back when he was beating Cassie. She was bleeding. I mean, everyone who takes the stand has just a very personal story that has the same thread. Cassie is being beaten, and there's a power dynamic that you have to acknowledge. So those were the folks that took the stand today. Mistrial called for, but the trial goes on.
Well, that sounds like a whole bunch of drama, and again, it just more craziness continues. And again, explain to the audience as you look at how the prosecutors are trying to build out these RICO charges.
You know, little by little, it's kind of like a drop in the balloon each day that goes by. And then one day, I think during closing, all that's going to burst in terms of putting all of these facts together. What they're really trying to establish, the prosecutors, they're saying that, hey, these are consenting adults. I'm sorry, that this is someone who did not have control. But even outside of that, Roland, if you remove Cassie, if you remove her testimony, remove any freak-offs, you still have extortion, you still have potential burglary, arson, unfair labor practices that have nothing even to do with Cassie, the beating, the tape. So it's like they're on these parallel forces, because on the one side you've got Cassie and everything that's connected, but on the other side, he allegedly has done so much else that all of that could check the boxes for a RICO. The defense, of course, is saying that, hey, these were two consenting adults that actually were drug addicts. So we need to take that into consideration. And we need to take into consideration the fact that, for example, yes, there was an arson, and it seems like, based upon all the information and evidence, that Sean had something to do with it. But was there any video? Do you have anything connecting Sean to this? So there are places where the defense can poke holes, but there certainly, I think, would be a lot of places where the jury is going to be deliberating on certain things that seem like, based upon circumstantial evidence, Sean had a lot to do with this. Now, I'm just saying that I'm not on the jury, obviously, but if I was, I would want to hear a lot of conversation about a couple of things that might be slightly askew. But it just feels like, to me, like the prosecution is making its case.
All right, then. Candace, we appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, quick break. We come back. Trump issues another pardon. This time, a major gang dealer out of Chicago. Also, issues a pardon to rapper NBA Youngboy. What is he doing? We'll explain. We'll be right back on the Black Star Network.
Week on the other side of change.
We're talking sinners, we're talking the Met Gala, we are talking about Black and Asian solidarity just in time for AAPI Heritage Month, and we're talking with our brilliant friend Malavika Cannon.
Nothing about these alliances is like necessarily natural except for the fact that we all are people who are trying to stay safe.
Tune in only on the other side of change on the Black Star Network.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
Well, folks, today Donald Trump issued more pardons, this time for a couple of notable African Americans. One of them is rapper NBA Youngboy. He also issued his own statement, and he dropped this here. I want to thank President Trump for granting me a pardon and giving me the opportunity to keep building as a man, as a father, and as an artist. This moment means a lot. It opens the door to a future I've worked hard for. I'm fully prepared to step into this. Big thanks to the pardon czar, Miss Alice Marie Johnson, for fighting for second chances for so many people, and to my lawyer, and to Brittany K. Barnett for being in my corner. And all your hard work to make this possible. And thank you to everyone who believed in me. I'm grateful, I'm focused, I'm ready. Ken Trail. Now, again, this is related to his previous convictions as a result. And he also, of course, is in the middle of going on tour. He faced a variety of legal issues, including gun possession charges. That was one of the things that the Baton Rouge rapper was facing. Now, let's now talk about Larry Hoover. Now, Larry Hoover, well-known Chicago gangster, led the Gangster Disciples, also a drug kingpin. This is the Chicago Sun-Times. It's on their front page. President Trump commutes drug kingpin Larry Hoover's federal prison sentence. Hoover and David Barksdale created the Gangster Disciples in the late 1960s, ruling as King Larry and King David until Barksdale was killed in 1974. Now, the White House didn't explain why he was granted the commutation. He said, but the story says, but Hoover attorney Justin Moore said Trump commuted Hoover's sentence to time served. He still faces essentially life in prison on a state murder conviction. And then Justin Moore says, we did what so many said was impossible. We got Larry Hoover out of federal prison. Now, as the story notes, Hoover still has a state court murder sentence to serve, and Illinois prison officials have previously said he'd likely serve it in the federal system. And then it says right here, the news comes 8 months after U.S. District Judge John Blakey heard a mercy bid from Hoover. The judge challenged Hoover's attorneys during that hearing, asking how many murders is he responsible for. Hoover's lawyers ultimately responded by asking the judge to disqualify himself from the case. Blakely hasn't ruled in the months since. So the story says Hoover was convicted of murder after a trial in December 1973, and a judge sentenced him to 150 to 200 years in state prison. It said that didn't stop Hoover from running the gang, though. Hoover was charged in federal court with 40 crimes, including engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise. He was found guilty on May 9th, 1997. The late U.S. District Judge Harry Lineweber handed down Hoover's life sentence in 1998, telling him he had misused a gift from God. And again, so what you have here is Trump doing this. Now, what many people suspect is that here you have Trump trying to appeal to black male voters with these pardons. We saw him do this before other rappers as well. And then now remember, you had some rappers who won a campaign trail for him, and one of them was later indicted for murder after the fact. And remember that crazy, deranged moment when Kanye was in the Oval Office, and then he was pleading for Trump to pardon Larry Hoover. Y'all remember this here?
9 million surrounding suburbs where we can create some factories. Now, I think it would be cool for them to be Trump factories because he's a master of industry. He's a builder. And I think it would be cool to have Yeezy ideation centers, which would be a mix of education that empowers people and gives them modern information. Like sometimes people say, this kid has ADD, this kid has ADD. You don't have ADD, school is boring. It was boring, it's not as exciting as this. We have to make it more exciting, we have to mix curriculums. You play basketball while you're doing math. You learn about music while you meditate in the morning. We have to instate mental health and art programs back into the city. So those are, and also Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown, from A Mayor I Can. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system that applies to what people are really going through, which Jim Brown has created.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have 7
So that was Kanye in all of his ranting. Now, Chris Toller, we've seen Chris Toller on our show many times, and with the Black Voter Project, and he posted a series of tweets. And I think he's also on the money. So this was a tweet right here. The neighborhood publicist said he's going after a certain demo hard, and I fear it may work really well. Chris goes, this is my worry too, and not so much that he will win over a ton of new voters from this, but it will make it more difficult to convince certain people it's worth their time and energy to go out and vote against him or his party in the future. Now, that was one of the tweets that Chris had posted. And then this is what he also said. He said, this is exactly how the far right plays right into the misinfo machine, something that was very effective creating apathy among black men in 2024. Unless JB, that's the governor of Illinois, commutes his state sentence, Hoover isn't set free, but the media narrative is all about Trump's move to free a black man. Here's the reality here, and I'll start with you, Candace. Let's just understand politics. And there were people who were calling for Obama to commute Larry Hoover's federal sentence. There were people who were calling for Biden to do it as well. And the reality is, if either one of them had commuted the federal sentence of Larry Hoover, Fox News, Conservative Talk Radio, Steve Bannon, all the blogs, Obama, Biden let out thug, drug kingpin, murdering Larry Hoover. Those would be the headlines.
They would. But as you mentioned, what he did was really inconsequential. Why? Because he still has state charges, and that's what he's going to be serving. What he knows how to do is marketing. And, you know, I was sitting in this spillover room in court the other day, so that's where the public is. You don't go into the main room, but you can see the Sean Combs case. So there were about 40 people who were there from the public. A lot of them, by the way, were tourists. They made this as a stop for them. After they saw the Statue of Liberty, they would come there to the Sean Combs trial. But the people who I spoke to, a lot of Black men who are probably the demographic that he's speaking to, they didn't even believe the Cassie tape. They just believed, let Sean Combs go. Let all the rappers go. Let all the Black men go. I mean, that was their mentality. So for him to make a move like this, it translates into a lot, but it also translates into nothing because he's still behind bars. Now, the fact that he was pardoned as opposed to commuted, that's a big deal. When you're pardoned, you know, everything's a clean slate. When you're commuted, your sentence is decreased. Larry was pardoned. That speaks volumes.
Well, again, the story. So the problem, the White House hasn't talked about it. So, they say that he commuted his life sentence. That's what the Chicago Sun-Times story. But the White House hasn't talked about anything, so they haven't explained. And they did it before, where they don't explain commutation or pardon.
Oh, okay, all right. So
So according to Justin Moore, his attorney said Trump commuted Hoover's sentence to time served. He still faces essentially life in prison on a state murder conviction. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And all of that ends up with the same result. He's still behind bars, and that makes everybody happy. It's the most exquisite plan that he gets credit to release somebody or commute their sentence, but Larry's going nowhere. It's just marketing, and I think that he is going to get a lot. Listen, this is the man he's going to be in some more rap videos. Well, I wouldn't put it past Trump to be in some rap videos. That's just the 8th grader in him who wants to be popular. And he was popular with rap artists back in the day, and popular with some of them now. But he's making sure that, again, I just see an 8th grade guy when I think about how he functions and wants to interact with people. And he's trying to work on being that popular guy, and he gained some points here.
Is this also, Rebecca, about appealing to the people who don't pay attention to the news and, oh my God, Trump pardoned Larry Hoover, and we know his name has been in numerous records. Rick Ross has shouted him out, and so many others. Your thoughts on this?
Dick Meech, Larry Hoover, one nation under God getting money. Yeah, like, look, I think for a lot of people, Larry Hoover is more of a pop icon. I think of some of the people who were connected in Chicago with who he is, who he was, who he has been. I think some of those people aren't as active on social media right now. But you know, to your point, this is a pop icon. His name is his folklore, stories about him is a narration that's in a lot of hip hop. What I find fascinating about this latest set of commutations / pardons, but we really don't know what it is. The White House hasn't really told us which one it is the fact that NBA YoungBoy got more out of Trump than Tim Scott. If I was Tim Scott, I would feel really bad. I did all that shucking and jiving over the last few years, and I got nothing. But NBA YoungBoy got something from Trump. The other point I want to make is Black men aren't dumb, and I think Black men are tired of performative politics, whether or not it's Democrats pandering to Black men or it's Republicans pandering to Black men. I think to the greater point, and this is something that Candace mentioned earlier about the 90 million voters who just don't show up. I think that 90 million is going to be more impressed by this than folks who are expected to turn out to vote in 2026 and 2028. But what I find interesting in the pivot towards Black men is with that crypto party that happened last week, one of the people that was there was Lamar Odom. Now, I mean, I'm not exactly going to count Lamar Odom's pockets. I don't think he has $1 million or $5 million to invest in crypto. But, I've heard some reports that he was paid to be there. He got an appearance fee because there still is that perception of Donald Trump wants black men to see black men around him. That's the part that I find a little bit more interesting than Larry Hoover.
Derek?
I definitely agree with Rebecca and Candace. The 2 points I would add is this. We're at a point of no return. There was a time how we view in our society from a democratic standpoint about how the pardoning and the commuting should be done. It was a process, a very rigorous process. But now, since day one, when he let go 1,500 individuals, it was his way of thumbing the nose at a justice system that was coming after him fast and furious. I mean, this man was threatening to see himself dying in prison. He thought he was going to end up like Bernie Madoff, right? Dying in prison. And so he threw everything but the kitchen sink to run and to become president. And so now that he is in that seat, Roland, we're at a point of no return. He's saying, you know what? I'm so transactional. The hell with the rule of law. The hell with justice. I don't care what the perception may be. And so the reason why I think we're at a point of no return, because the future president's going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to deal with a public to say, hey, the other guy had a disregard of due process. The other guy didn't have a problem with accountability. The other guy devalued punishment. The other guy dealt with cynicism. The other guy had to do. And so now what happens when the Oval Office become transactional for both parties?
Okay. So I want to unpack that. And I need people to listen to me very clearly. I need people to listen to me very clearly. Even when Obama was there, one of the critiques that I had is that I felt that President Obama played it too safe. And what I often argue is that the presidency it holds tremendous power. And what we've had are individuals who know about the power, but have been unwilling to maximize the power. And there have been instances where I believe that it was too safe. Take these pardons. Derek is right. This whole idea of a process. I can tell you, up until I visited the White House Friday before the inauguration, and there were battles going on inside of the White House regarding pardons. Pardons for former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., pardons for former Congressman Jefferson out of New Orleans, pardon for Marilyn Mosby. I was told that Biden drew a red line for what he deemed public official corruption. That was his red line. That's why he issued those pardons. I disagree with him, especially on Marilyn Mosby. That pardon should have been granted. I thought it was BS that she was convicted for using her own money. But I believe the problem, and I said this earlier, and I wasn't joking when I said that Democrats play too nice. It's like what's artificial. 2010, I was fed up watching how Obama was responding to Republicans and even some Democrats. This is what I wrote for CNN.com. Anthony, go to my iPad. Time for Obama to go gangster on GOP. And this is what I said. Civil rights activist Fan Lou Hamer made famous the phrase, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." For me, I'm sick and tired of Democrats having power and being unwilling to use it. I've always respected Republicans when they had power because they were willing to use it and maybe apologize later. I then talked about Obama watching Republicans block many of his appointments, and now he says he made it clear to them that he will, quote, consider, unquote, making some when the U.S. Senate goes into recess. Quote, one senator, as you are all aware, had put a hold on every single nominee that we had put forward due to a dispute over a couple of earmarks in his state. In our meeting, I asked the congressional leadership to put a stop to these holes in which nominees for critical jobs are denied a vote for months. Surely we can set aside partisanship and do what's traditionally been done to confirm these nominations. If the Senate does not act, and I made this very clear, if the Senate does not act to confirm these nominees, I will consider making several recess appointments during the upcoming recess because we can't afford to allow politics to stand in the way of a well-functioning government. I write, this is where the president needs to show his toughness and just do it. Forget threats. The actions of Senator Richard Shelby and other Republican obstructionists will continue if President Obama allows them to run roughshod over him. When you're the top dog, you do what you have to do to govern. Allowing Republican senators to continue to deny your appointments is nonsense. If all of them choose to support a filibuster, then you take it to the American people and show the obstructionists for what they are. You get your grassroots movement fired up to stand up and do something. The political right used its base to go after Democrats who blocked appointments to the federal bench and other positions. Why not be just as aggressive? And if there are members of your own party who stand in the way, such as Senator Ben Nelson, then you also blast them and make them pay for acting so foolishly. This president got rolled by the Senate over health care. His team made some boneheaded mistakes, and now they are paying for them. Continuing to play footsie with opponents will only get him into more trouble. He should set a deadline to have his folks confirmed. If not, appoint them all during the recess and go on about your business. Obama's critics keep blasting him for Chicago-style politics. So fine, channel your inner Al Capone and go gangster against your foes. Let them know that if they aren't with you, then they are against you and will pay the price. That beautiful big budget bill we're going to talk about in a second, there were some holdouts, some Republicans, hardcore. Trump looked him in the eye and said, get your ass in line and vote for it. They did. It passed. What I'm saying here, Candace, is that I disagree with how Democrats do pardons. We're going to wait till the end of the year. We're going to issue all of them around Christmas like it's a gift. No! The power is literally with the president. The president can issue a pardon or a commutation anytime, any day. Damn it, do it. And let me be real clear. Fuck Fox News. Fuck conservative media. They're going to criticize you anyway. So you do it. And if they say, why don't you do it? Because I'm the president. See, again, this to me is when you play a game with folk and you don't let it be known, I am the president, yo ass deal with it. And if y'all want to swing, let's swing. Recess appointments, hell yeah, do it. I'm not threatening you. The moment y'all hit that damn gavel in recess, appointment. Boom, boom, boom. Don't play games with me, I'm going to do it again. At some point, and here's the other thing, whether they want to own it or not, this is actually one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't vote for them last time. Because they are responding to strength. And let me be real clear. Donald Trump is a thug. Donald Trump is a misfit. Donald Trump is a shameful, despicable human being. What he is doing is maximizing the office of the president to its full potential. I think, frankly, he's breaking the law as well, but the Supreme Court gave him a get out of free jail card. But this is where, if you're Democrats, damn y'all rules. Again, if a Democrat wins in 28, I'm not waiting for that once a year part and stuff. I'm gonna drop it now, move the hell on. But you know what they do? Once a year, and then the media they pick it apart. Republicans criticize, then some Democrats. Look at all the Democrats. Look at all them whiny ass Democrats, Candace, who bitched and moaned because Biden issued preemptive pardons for his family and others. And the fact of the matter is, he was right. This asshole would have investigated every single one of them. They would have ran up multi-million-dollar legal bills, and that's and that's why Biden did it, and he should have actually done it.
Now, the other thing, when you talk about timing and doing it just at one part of the year because, it's a gift of some sort, when it's really the right that a president has at all times during his presidency, is that you throw people off. You get these pardons in all throughout the year where a lot of people aren't paying attention because we are trained to look at pardons at a certain part of the year. So again, this is just breaking rules with power that you actually do have. You are right in that the Democrats have to play it a lot differently and exert their power in a different way, to a point, of course, where it's legal. But this is one of those things where you can push the envelope a little bit. And it's something that, listen, he's using effectively and using it as a campaign strategy, right? For someone who's trying to get votes if he, hopefully in his estimation, runs again. So it's all strategy, it's all marketing. But when it comes to these pardons, it is indeed power that he has that we are so much more tight-fisted with, and it doesn't serve us good.
And Rebecca, remember, President George W. Bush commuted the sentence of Scooter Libby, who unveiled the name of a CIA operative. But remember, people got to remember that Dick Cheney was mad as hell because Bush did not give a full pardon. And people were really upset by that. Libby still had to pay the $250,000 fine, still stay on probation for 2 years, and that's how he did it. Well, guess what? Trump is issuing these pardons, and these people who he's letting off, there are fines that have been imposed. I think the number's approaching $100 million, Rebecca, that these people don't even have to pay back. So there were victims a part of these crimes. He's like, nah, y'all ain't got to pay the money back. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We good.
This is, we really got to unpack this because, one, I don't support the criminal legal system that we have in this country. It does not bring justice. It does not rehabilitate people. And I don't think it's working. I think it's failing. But when we're talking about pardons, I would say having arbitrary pardons is also a problem as well. There should be a clear standard of, hey, this is what you do in order to get a pardon. You shouldn't have to know Kim Kardashian. You should not have to know other high profile people in hopes that maybe your name will be whispered somewhere in the White House and maybe perhaps you'll get a pardon. So I don't like how pardons are issued under Democratic presidents. I typically don't like how they're used under Republican presidents either. But what Trump is showing, so for the next future presidents who actually want to do good in this country, the thing that Trump is showing is how you maximize the presidency. Like, it's power. It's not absolute power, but in this world, it's very close to it. There's a lot of transformative change, a lot of positive things that can happen through that White House. And so the next person who gets in that White House, if you actually believe in the power of this country, the power of the people in this country, then use it for good. Don't be feckless. Don't be so caught up into the histrionics of what the opposition party is going to say. Do your thing because the Supreme Court has already said that you can do so. So we actually need someone in the White House who has that power, who will wield that power, but will wield it in a just way.
And bottom line is, if they're going to criticize you anyway, well, damn it, just roll with it. Listen, I understand need for a process, but here's a reality. in that, and again, I accept this for what it is. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying all of that. But the fact of the matter is this here, is that when it just says right here, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1, that the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states. When called into the actual service of the United States, he may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. That's all it says. That's all it says. It actually, and I totally understand what Derek says, what Rebecca says, what Candace says. It doesn't call for a process. It literally says the power rests in the hands of this one individual. This one individual can decide for whatever reason they want. In fact, this individual doesn't even have to give a reason. They don't have to issue a press release. And what I am saying is, for Democrats, you need to toughen your ass up. And you need to buck up and recognize that when you have the power, you fucking use it. Because you're not always going to have it. I say it to people all the time. Obama's only going to be there 8 years. Period. Not 9, not 10, not 12, 8. And when I was championing for him to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court, not that feckless ass Merrick Garland, he had 10 months left. And black organizations, black female organizations, were scared to publicly call for him to do it. And I said, what the hell are y'all doing? The hell with invites to the White House. He is gone in January, but that Supreme Court justice could be there for the next 30, 40, 50 years. But a lot of black folks, no, we don't want to pray. And I'm just telling y'all right now, I've told this story beforehand. They had a Black History Month reception in 2016, and it was the seasoned saints and the young folk. And here we were at the White House at the reception, waiting for folks. The reception started late because the meeting had ran over. And I never forget, I ran to Wade Henderson. Wade, did anybody in the meeting raise the point about appointing a black woman to the Supreme Court? No. I ran to Melanie Campbell. I ran to Rashard Robinson. And I was like, how in the hell were all of y'all in that meeting and nobody looked that man across the table and said, Mr. President, we stand here right now and we want you to appoint a black woman as Supreme Court Justice to replace Antonin Scalia? Well, some of us didn't want to say anything because Loretta Lynch, we hear she's on the short list and she was sitting right next to him. I don't give a shit if she was sitting right next to him. Y'all had an opportunity sitting in front of the President of the United States, and here were all of the young bucks and the OGs, and not one black person had the audacity to bring it up. They were silent. And I just shook my head. I said, I cannot believe y'all did that. And the letter that they had written, the black female groups, they slid it across the table to Valerie Jarrett privately. I said, what the hell are y'all doing? You need noise. So what I am saying is when you have the power, you use the power. And you use it for good. You don't let off somebody who gave $1 million at a dinner and Donald Trump like, sure, partner her son. But you use it for good. But see, when you try to play it safe, when you, what are going to be the optics? Ooh, what are they going to say? What's the right going to say? What the left is going to say? You spend too much time giving a damn about what the right and the left is going to say. Then they ask, why'd you do it? Because I'm the fucking president of the United States. That's why. Next. That's how you respond. I'll be back.
This week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie, we're talking all things faith, family, and fatherhood. Men step in and out of our lives in a variety of ways as fathers, uncles, cousins, and different ways in which we enjoy their company and presence, and in other ways when they get on our nerves. This week on our show, we'll be talking about what it means to be a father, how women can support the men in their lives, as well as how do we heal the wounds that we've had from poor conversation, lack of desire, and all of the other ways that we sometimes as women check out and cause our men to feel emasculated. That's all this week on A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
Let's go. Truth Talks is the fastest growing show about pop culture, and now we're exclusively on our own channel.
Go ahead, say it, man.
Attention! We're back. We gotta stop letting this slide. Bigger and stronger than ever.
I mean, I just have questions.
Season 2 is reloading May 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
What's up?
With new hosts.
Let me tell you what damn time it is.
And big celebrity surprises.
Kiss my behind. It's Oprah Winfrey.
Subscribe today at Truth Talks Live.
Give black people what they need, and we'll show them for you.
And don't miss out on all the upcoming viral moments.
Simulcasting weeknights at 8 p.m. on Roland Martin Unfiltered and Black Star Network and Truth Talks Live. I'll see you there.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, have you ever had $1 million idea and wondered how to bring it to life? Well, it's all about turning problems into opportunities. On our next Get Wealthy, you'll learn of a woman who identified the overload bag syndrome, and now she's taking that money to the bank through global sales in major department stores.
And I was just struggling with 2 or 3 bags on the train. And I looked around on the train and I said, you know what? There are a lot of women that are carrying two or 3 bags.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
We pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Oh, they're calling it the big, beautiful bill. But guess what? People are not happy at all. They are lighting these Republicans up. Watch.
You know, I was like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like,
everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
It has been hilarious, literally watching these people get roasted in these town halls. I'm going to pull up one in a moment, Rebecca. It was just, they're getting blasted. I saw this one video that I thought was just lovely, man. This one Democrat rep, man, she just destroyed James Comey by asking him to read portions of the bill, and he could not even read portions of the bill. And one thing he was claiming, she was kind of like, no, that ain't what it says. Nope, that's not quite what it says. And the fact of the matter is, he hadn't even read the bill himself. And again, she was just, I was just sitting, I was cracking up laughing. She was eating his ass. Watch this.
Chairman, as I read it, your bill is giving the congressional authority to the executive to do it without Congress.
No, that's not true.
Can you
You're misinterpreting the bill.
Can you please point us to the language in the bill that retains Congress's authority?
It requires a privileged resolution in Congress.
Can you please point us to the page and the line number that requires congressional consent for reorganization of the federal government?
In sections 908 and 909 of Title V.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Section 908 says striking December 31st, 1985. Can you please refer to the language that retains Congress's authority under the United States Constitution to rein in the executive to stop it from eliminating unnecessary duties, reducing federal employees, amending rules and regulations, and eliminating executive departments, agencies, independent establishments, offices, or officers of the executive branch?
You're intentionally misrepresenting the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I'm reading the bill, and
No.
I'm asking you as the
Read the bill.
sponsor to point to us where your bill, which you are trying to pass through this committee today, retains the authority of Congress.
It changes the date to 2026.
Y'all, but it just gets better. A Mike Flood of Nebraska, yo, he straight ass got cooked by his folks at his town hall. Man, give me 1 second. I got to pull this up, y'all, because this was just too damn good. I mean, he had a town hall, and he made the biggest mistake you could ever make if you stand in front of the people and you admit, you know what, my bad, I ain't really read the bill. Watch this.
Can you please tell us why you voted to approve a budget bill that includes Section 70302, which effectively prohibits federal courts from enforcing contempt orders? Please let me read my question. I only got 30 seconds. Which would then allow current and future administrations to ignore those contempt orders by removing the enforcement capabilities.
I do not agree with that section that was added to that bill. This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next.
unknown to you, so you voted for a bill that you did not. Why, really? You didn't admit it? Here's more.
The president is destroying our democracy by defying the courts and the Constitution, attacking and silencing free speech in the media, allowing security breaches, erasing history, using tax dollars and presidential power for personal gains, blaming DEI and using it to discriminate, and promoting eugenics and genocide, all while showing signs of cognitive decline. Your votes, actions, and inactions show that you are a fascist politician, so please explain how you are not encouraging fascism, and are you going to invoke articles of impeachment against Trump?
I get that you get an applause line when you call me a fascist, but I'm not. I am
You're fascist, but you are somebody who ain't read your own damn bill. This is why they're not trying to have town halls, Derek. They don't want that heat.
They don't want that heat.
Especially when you go, oh, I didn't read the bill.
Right. They can't face the music, Roland. I mean, folks are starting to wake up. See, they all thought when they were voting on November 5th of last year that this dude would just, all his Project 2025 was just going to negatively impact us. And now what they're discovering is that this is going to impact all of us, to include them. I mean, listen, yes, this bill is big. It is. Beautiful, it is not. That 1,000 pages, I mean, I get it, right? Not everyone will read the bill. They may have their staffers, Roland, you know this, going to synthesize the information and give them 2 or 3 paragraph summary. They don't read it. Now they're being called out because citizens are going line by line because they realize this is going to hurt them so much as it relates to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. And then here's the thing, Roland, for your listening audience. When government revenue declines due to tax cuts, here's the little dirty secret. That's less money available for those crucial things that we all demand. Public investments like infrastructure, public education, research and development, environmental protection. So FEMA's going to go away. They're going to be going after the meteorologists. They're going to fire 400 of them. So we won't get a heads up when the hurricane and tornadoes are coming. So when folks like, yes, tax cuts, we want that. You got to understand that those dollars that government manage are those investments that are vital to our well-being, our economic growth, and our societal needs to have a quality of life.
Folks, we got some breaking news here. Well, guess what? A federal judge has ruled that Donald Trump broke the law when it came to the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And so you remember all those Liberation Day tariffs he announced? They were like, yeah, that's got to go because you were wrong. Go to my iPad. The court holds for the foregoing reasons that i.e. EPA does not authorize any of the worldwide retaliatory or trafficking tariff orders. The worldwide and retaliatory tariff orders exceed any authority granted to the president by i.e. EPA to regulate importation by means of tariffs. The trafficking tariffs fail because they do not deal with the threat set forth in those orders. This conclusion entitles plaintiffs to judgment as a matter of law, as the court further finds no genuine dispute as to any material fact. Summary judgment will enter against the United States. The challenge tariff orders will be vacated and their operation permanently enjoined. This is a three will enter against the United States. The challenge tariff orders will be vacated and their operation permanently enjoined. This is a three-judge panel. That's a huge ruling, Candace. And again, the video that I showed you of that Democratic Congresswoman challenging James Comer, like, dude, y'all are just turning the authority that's granted to Congress to the president. He kept sitting there arguing, oh, he can do this, declaring that the economy was a national emergency, and they're like, no, it wasn't.
And not only that, but when we look at this and everything that he's put in place, this essentially wipes out everything. Now, the question is, will it be followed? The question is he going to do something to try to trump what they already put in place? Because look what happened to the Supreme Court. I think that kind of rests in the back of everybody's mind. But for today, in this moment of breaking news, essentially what they're saying is that everything that he's put in place is wiped clean.
Rebecca, he stayed losing when it came to losing in 2020, and his ass losing a lot with these federal judges.
What's really important to point out, we do talk about the Supreme Court often, but remember the federal judiciary is largely comprised, in the last 10 years, the majority of folks have been appointed, have not been Trump appointees. So there are pro-democracy, pro-voting rights, pro-quote-unquote rule of law judges that are on the federal bench all across the country. And one thing that we are noticing in this presidency is that Trump is losing when he has to go to the federal courts. When he's going to the Supreme Court, it's been a mixed bag. But it is affirming to know that the judiciary is trying to prove that it has not fallen to what appears to be a fascist.
And this is the U.S. Court of International Trade, these three judges. And so I'm sure we're going to be seeing a crazy, demented rant on Truth Social, Trump's joke of a social media platform. Let me thank Rebecca, Derek, and Candace for being on today's show. We appreciate it, folks. Thank you so very much. Don't forget, support what we do. A couple of minutes, folks. Truth Talks comes up. Support the work that we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. You want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Send your check and money order. Come on, guys, let's go. Thank you very much. That's the Stripe QR code for Cash App. Check and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Send it to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Be sure to get the audio version I read on Audible. Also, of course, get our Black Star Network Roland Martin Unfiltered gear, our swag, get our newest shirts. Of course, don't blame me, but for the black woman, go to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com, rolandmartin.creator-spring.com for your shirts and things along those lines. If you have ordered some stuff, you have not gotten it, send us an email so we can work on that as well. Don't forget, also, shop the black-owned products that we have right here on the shop blackstarnetwork.com. So go to our marketplace to support those products. Shop blackstarnetwork.com, and don't forget to support the app fan base. Download it. You can also, of course, contribute if you want to invest in it. More information at startengine.com/fanbase. Startengine.com/fanbase. And so all these things, what you can do, of course, also we got some great things going. So if you want to support, again, our shows, you're supporting this show, you're supporting also all the other shows we have right here on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, now it's time for the season 2, episode 3 of the show, Truth Talks. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now. Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?